Hi guys, good afternoon. Welcome to the live JHC-CEE analysis 2026. So today was the test for the Jai Hind College. Okay, so we are here to do the analysis for the same. Okay, so today we will discuss the paper pattern for the JHC-CEE test, the test interface, and the sectional breakup of each and every section. Okay. So now the pattern for the Jai Hind entrance test is very simple. We have like 4 sections: math, LRDI, English and current affairs, where each section has like 25 questions. Okay. The test interface was very user friendly, right? There were no technical glitches reported by any of the students. Okay. So let's get on to the sectional breakup of each and every uh, subject. Okay, so there were 25 questions in each and every section. The total time limit was 90 minutes. There is no negative marking, right? No sectional time limit is there. There was no on-screen calculator. Okay. So now in mathematics, if you see, overall the section was very simple. Students, they were very happy. They could many of my students, they were able to attempt like all the questions in this section. Okay, so this section was not at all difficult. Okay, so there were like 4 questions on percentages, 3 questions on profit loss. There were 4 questions on equation, 3 questions on ratio. Time split distance, there were 2 questions. No questions on time and work were reported. There was 1 question on allegation. Okay. There was 1 question on mean median mode. There was 1 question on coordinate geometry, 1 question on trigo. Okay. PNC probability, there were 3 questions. Okay. And on matrices, there were 2 questions. So now a good student could have like taken 25 to 30 minutes for this section in order to attempt like 22 to 25 questions, and I would say a good score would be like 23 plus. Okay, as the questions were not difficult, the test was easy. Students should have been able to score like more than 23 easily. Okay, in a test like this. Now coming to the LR section. Now logical reasoning section and your data interpretation section, again this was a very easy section. Students reported that they could easily manage this particular set. Okay, this particular section. So logical series, we had like 5 questions. Okay, coding decoding, there were 2 questions. There were 4 questions on blood relations, 4 questions on analogy, right? There were 3 questions on puzzle. Critical reasoning, there were 2 questions, and there were 5 questions on DI. Now, one thing to notice over here in this section was what? That all the questions on puzzles and DI, they were standalone questions. Meaning, let's say there was, one question tested on bar graph, but there was only 1 question. So, students had to like figure out the entire bar graph just to solve 1 question. Okay. Likewise, the other 4 questions were also like that only, right? There was 1 caselet, 1 pie chart, 1 line graph. Likewise, there were a lot of questions on puzzles. Like there were 3 questions on puzzle, 1 linear arrangement, 1 circular arrangement. There was 1 square table arrangement given to the students, right? So students, they had to like figure out the entire puzzle to solve like 1 question. But again, if you talk about the nature of the difficulty of the questions were easy. It was not something that students couldn't manage. So overall, if you see, this section again was not difficult. I feel a good student would take like 20 to 25 minutes to solve like almost all the questions with a very high accuracy. So a good attempt would be like 22 to 25 with a good score of 23 at least. Okay, now coming to the next section, that is, let's say, your English section. So English sections, surprisingly there were no questions on RC. Okay, vocabulary, we had like 4 questions. Fill in the blanks, we had 2 questions, right, where the questions were based on your grammar. Okay, now idioms, there were 2 questions on idioms. There were a lot of questions on grammar, right? There were like some 4 to 5 odd questions on your direct indirect speech, 4 to 5 odd questions on your active passive voice. So grammar, there were like 10 questions on grammars, right? Parajumbles, there were 5 questions on parajumbles, and sentence correction, we had like 2 questions. So that is like the entire section of your English. talking about the difficulty level of the question, a good student who has prepared for their board exams, who is good in grammar, right, should easily manage to score like good in this section. So I feel that a time frame of 15 to 20 minutes, if you allot like a time frame of 15 to 20 minutes to a section like this where you don't have RC, right, you can easily solve like almost all the questions again with a very high accuracy. So 15 to 20 minutes to solve like 22 to 25 questions, right, with a very high accuracy, meaning a good score of 23 again in this section would be really good. Okay. Now talking about current affairs, now this was a section where some students told me that it was difficult based on their preparedness, right? Some students reported that it was difficult, it was very difficult. At the same time, there were students who kindly, who reported to me that, sir, this section was easy for me, it was not that difficult because my GK is good, my current affairs, I'm kind of, having a habit of reading. So those students, managed to score like good in this particular section also. So giving like a time of 10 to 15 minutes to this section, a student could easily attempt all the questions with a very high accuracy. So I feel a good student would attempt like 20 to 25 questions with a good score of 21. Okay, so now that brings us to the most important part, that what is the cutoff, right? What is the expected cutoff, right? So let's look at that part. So cutoffs, if you look at the last couple of years, the trend has been the same, right? But we need to understand one thing, that when you're talking about JHC, you have something called as a composite score. Your candidature is not only dependent on your entrance performance, but it also factors in your performance in your 12th boards. Okay, so now composite score is what it will take a 50% weight from your board marks, and 50% weightage is given to your entrance. Okay, so a student, let's say for example, is getting 80 marks in your boards and is getting, let's say, 80% in boards and 90% over here. So ultimately the student is getting what? 170. So the ultimate score will come out to be what? 85. I hope this example is very good. So let's say if a student is getting a very good score in percent in their board exams, but a very bad score in your entrance exam, that student might not clear the cutoff. At the same time, a student who is scoring very good in the entrance exam but very bad in the board exams might again not clear the cutoff. So basically we need to have a balance between your board and in your entrance exam. So now let's say this is a composite score that I have displayed over here for multiple programs. So if you look at BAF, since last two, if you look at the trend, right? So what we are seeing for BAF and BFM, the cutoff is in the range of 88 to 90, right? Whereas BBI, it can fall in the range of 85 to 88 this year. Okay, and for BMM and BDS, the cutoffs are 82 to 85 and 80 to 82. Now this is again my prediction, right? It might change based on the performance of the students in their board exams this year, because I cannot just say that if a student are scoring good in their entrance exam, so what will be the cutoff based on that, because JHC also factors in your performance in the board exam. So that is also a very important thing that you need to understand. Now for their one more program, that is BAQF, on their official website they have not given us a proper clarity that what will be the admission process this year, as they are accepting multiple entrances. Okay, so as soon as we get to know anything about that particular program, we will communicate that thing to you via multiple sources. Okay, so for now that's it from our end. So these are the cutoffs. I hope you people get into JHC. Okay, all the best.